what do we do? You want to interview me?
Oh, not now. I'm going to interview you later. But I'm just going to sit here and we'll talk.
No, I don't. Now that you want to, basically you want to interview me.
I do, yes.
Then you have a ready-made audience.
Yes.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that now?
Well, I will do some of it now.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
So now, first, what is the interview all about?
What's the interview all about?
Yeah, let's start with that. Kiama.
Okay, so what we're wanting, what I'm interested in exploring
what is the basis of this interview? What is it for?
What's it for?
Is it part of something bigger?
It is. It's part of a television series about inspiring individuals in the world who are contributing to humanity. And so the reason to interview you is that you have an understanding that contributes to humanity. That's why people want to come and listen to you.
I see.
Yeah. And
but you know, people here, this place can have maximum, I can accommodate 100 people, maximum.
It can have
maximum number of people I have.
Yes.
Is 100.
Mm-hmm.
What I usually have is about 25, 30.
Yes.
You know that.
I know that.
I mean, I'm not people who inspire 100,000 people. Let's be clear.
I know that.
Okay.
But you will inspire 100,000 people when they watch and listen to you on television. You have the capacity for that. So.
Yes. Anyway, this is part of, you want to interview several people.
Yeah.
And make
a series, a television series.
I see. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Any particular subject for this series?
Well, it's really exploring. It's different for different people because we're talking to people in different.
It's bound to have a title.
A title.
Surely.
The title is Inspiring Lives, so it's very general.
So,
but what we're looking at is. We're looking at what is it that people can learn. That
so
can contribute to their lives.
What is the title? If you can please repeat that. The title is
Inspiring Lives.
Inspiring Lives.
Lives.
I see. Inspiring lives.
That's right.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And so we're talking with inspiring individuals about content that can contribute to people in their own journey through life.
Yeah. Forgive my interfering, but at the moment, how many people have you interviewed so far?
We're just starting today. Well, we started actually with a gentleman on Saturday.
I see.
And now we're.
So I'm the number 2 in this series.
You are. But it may be mixed around later in terms of the order.
I see.
Yeah. So yes.
Are you sure the others you are going to interview won't feel jealous?
Oh, they might be.
And you would rather want them to be.
It doesn't really matter anyway, does it?
No, that's an interesting point. It doesn't matter, listen. It doesn't matter to whom, Kiama. Doesn't matter to whom.
It doesn't matter in the cosmic plan of it all.
I see. So now, on this point, the title is Inspiring Lives.
Mm-hmm.
I go again and again because whatever we talk about, we must never forget the title of yours.
Right.
Inspiring Lives.
Yes. Okay.
You see what I mean? That's why I'm interested in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what is likely to happen, we go off the mark into all kinds of things and forget the main purpose. Inspiring life.
Okay, well, as a subtext to that, I would say that part of the angle of the series is to explore ideas and content and experiences of people who lead inspiring lives that actually can contribute to people leading their lives in a way that is better for them. So it's about people being able to grow in some way from the content.
Yes. So, point is, you want people who inspire people to live their lives in a particular way.
Perhaps.
What is the inspiration about?
What is it?
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to get my base clear.
Okay. I guess it's
inspiring life. So what am I supposed to be doing to inspire people to do what?
Okay. So
you see what I mean?
There's two aspects to that. One is that it's inspiring people to create a better life for themselves. Yeah, and it's
a real life for themselves. Did you say?
Yes, a better life for themselves. So people can live in a way, get more happiness, I guess. Yeah?
That is now
more happiness, somewhere. And particularly in relation to themselves, in the world, and to their life. Yeah, so their relationship with that in a happier way, in a way that maybe is more expansive or freer.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of it is looking at, in the series we're looking at also the fact that people can contribute somehow towards humanity or society in some way. So they're the two kind of angles.
I see.
Yeah.
So on this point, let me be perfectly clear.
Yes.
Whatever I say is going to inspire the individual to be happier for himself.
Yes.
See what I mean? I make it clear. Because whatever I say, the intention is not to make a happier world. I want to be clear on that.
Right. Yes.
See what I mean?
Yes, I do.
There may be people who consider that their life is meant to make the world a happier place.
Yes.
I'm not one of those.
No.
That I want to make perfectly clear.
So you're saying that you are more about the individual living from a place of more happiness.
So what I'm concerned with is to inspire the individual to be more happy in this life.
Yes.
Himself, that is the point.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
In doing that, does that not have an impact on the world if you have more individuals inspired to lead a happier life?
Now, therefore what you're saying is, in my telling any individual how to be happier than he now is, how to be really happy, it may affect the outer world.
That's right.
But my point is, may or may not. So, what I want to make again and again perfectly clear is, I do not consider it my responsibility. See what I mean? It perfectly. I do not consider it my responsibility to contribute to the happiness of the world. That is God's business, and I leave it to God.
Yes. So do you consider it your responsibility to contribute to the happiness of individuals, or is it simply that it's a movement and a joy in you to do that?
No, very good question, and that is, I do not think, Mahara, I have any responsibility whatsoever towards anybody. And that is the basis of my happiness.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was one of my questions, was about responsibility. So does the individual have any responsibility for anything?
So therefore, I do not. That is the point. One of the main reasons for the unhappiness of the individual human being, according to me, is that he considers himself to be in control of his life, one, and two, he has the responsibility to live a life in such a way that it will inspire others to be good people. See what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas I'm concerned with only considering my very the basis of my total conviction is that everything happens according to God's will, or we can say God's will, or we can say cosmic law.
Yes.
I have no preference.
So is there any way that you can serve God's will? Or do you just do whatever you like whenever you want and God's will occurs? Like, can you serve God's will?
Very good question, Chiamara. Very good question. Therefore, what I'm saying is, the reason I said most important, I don't think I have the slightest responsibility either towards myself or towards the others. I honestly don't think I have any responsibility either towards myself or my family or the society in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because fundamentally, according to my concept, every human being is fundamentally a three-dimensional object.
Mm-hmm.
What is the manifestations? Manifestations is the totality of all three-dimensional objects of various kinds. What are the various kinds? First, there is the stone, in which there is no apparent life. So we call the stone an inanimate thing. Then there is a growing plant, which grows by itself. No one needs to water it. Therefore, there is life in the growing plant. The stone, inanimate growing plant, there is life in the growing plant. Three, there is the animal, in which the three-dimensional object has five senses, through which the individual animal is able to see, hear, smell, taste or touch. So, the animal, in the case of a growing plant, there is no sense of any individuality. The animal has a distinct sense of being a separate entity who is concerned with his own happiness. See what I mean? Therefore, the animal is a three-dimensional object in which there are five senses, through which the separate entity is able to see, hear, smell, taste. And the separate entity is what I call the ego. The three-dimensional object is part of the manifestation. Therefore, the ego, the sense of identification as a separate entity, can only be concerned with the unmanifest source, object manifestation. This feeling of being a separate entity, which I call the ego, is connected with the source. Mm-hmm. In other words, the source, the unmanifest oneness, the unmanifest singularity, has become the manifest duality.
Okay.
That's
so the ego is connected to the source.
So, yes. What I'm trying to say is, according to my concept, God did not create this world. God did not create this world. The unmanifest singularity, oneness, the unmanifest unicity had to become the two in manifestation. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the basis of the manifestation is duality, beginning with male and female, and duality of every conceivable kind.
Yes.
So the unmanifest oneness had to become manifest duality. Duality beginning with male and female, and duality of every conceivable kind.
Because that is the nature of manifest, like anything the source in a manifest state.
Yes, wealth and poverty, health and disease, goodness and evil, saint and psychopath, generous man and a miser. Therefore, the source, singularity, the unmanifest itself has become the manifestation.
The purpose of which is?
The purpose of which. The point is, for me, there is no purpose. Then why did the manifestation get created? Isn't that your question?
Yes.
If there is no purpose, then why did the Creator create the manifestation? That is the question which must prevail. If you say God created the world, why? See what I mean? But my point is, the one unmanifest source was forced to become the manifested duality.
Caused by?
Therefore,
was caused
by its own nature.
Yeah, okay.
Therefore, there is no question of a purpose for creating the world.
Right.
There would be a purpose in creating the world if we think in terms of God creating the world. Then the natural question, valid question would be, why did God have to create the world and thus for people to suffer? Could He not sit quietly or sleep quietly without bothering to create the world and people who are unhappy? I think it's a valid question, isn't it? But the question cannot arise on the basis of my concept that there is no God who created the world. The one unmanifest singularity was forced to become the manifest duality.
By its own nature.
By its own nature.
Yeah.
So what is this nature which forced the individual, unmanifest individual unicity into becoming this? My concept therefore is, the source has to be potential energy. A dead matter cannot create anything.
Right. So energy needs to move somewhere.
Therefore, my point is if I conceive of the unmanifest singularity as potential energy, throbbing potential energy, then there is the nature of the potential energy to activate itself sometime. Otherwise it would be dead matter. See what I mean?
Yes.
Therefore, the throbbing potential energy was forced to activate itself sometime, and then there was the Big Bang and the manifestation.
So back to my question, can an individual serve the cosmic play or...
No, you're saying, can the individual do something? And my point is...
Yes, you don't.
What is the individual that you're talking about? The individual you're talking about is before we came to the animal, which has a body, mind, organism, as a separate sense of being individual. Finally, there is the human being. Finally, the fourth type of object, the human being, who is an animal. There is life, there is a body, mind, instrument, 5 senses, through which the separate entity sees, hears, smells, tastes and touches. And in the ego of the human being has been infused the sense of personal doership and intellect. The animal's ego doesn't have intellect. It doesn't bother who feeds him, so long as he is fed. The human being has intellect, which makes him ask the questions which you are asking.
Right.
So, the human being is fundamentally a three-dimensional object in which has been infused by the soul, life, and various other infusions which make him ask the question.
And
but
so,
fundamentally,
yes,
every human being is a three-dimensional object.
Okay, so the search for purpose is somehow related to the sense of unhappiness and duality, is that right?
Yes. Therefore, what is the purpose of life? My answer is, the meaning and purpose of life for me, for any individual, is to be happy. That is all.
Yeah.
All he wants is to be happy.
So, in many, many cases, an individual, in order to feel happy, seeks purpose. And am I hearing you right in that you're saying, fundamentally you're saying there is no purpose? There's only a caused manifestation.
This individual entity, the ego, which is the source, impersonal consciousness, identified with each animal and each human body, mind, organism, as a separate entity with a sense of personal doership and intellect.
Yeah.
So every human being is fundamentally a three-dimensional object with an ego who is identified with that body, mind, organism.
Okay, so really, are you saying that the purpose is simply to be happy?
So my point therefore is, as soon as the newborn baby seeks its mother's breast intuitively, all that the human being wants, according to my concept, is happiness.
Yeah.
The human being, individually, has nothing to do with the happiness of the world. That is what the intellect, the human intellect, brings about and makes him unhappy.
Can one individual serve the process of happiness in another individual?
No. If therefore,
well, it's a realization of
wait a
happiness,
minute,
isn't it? Yeah.
So whatever our purpose in life, what we are saying is, therefore, what does the human being have to do in order to be happy? Isn't that right?
Yes.
But the most important point I am making is that the human being is fundamentally a three-dimensional object through which the source as primal energy is functioning and bringing about whatever is supposed to happen according to God's will or cosmic law.
Can you say that again?
Yes. What is the basis of manifestation? What is the manifestation? A collection of three-dimensional objects. One kind of object being the human being, who is a three-dimensional object with which the ego is convinced as a separate entity with a sense of personal doership and intellect to ask questions. Therefore, it's only the human being, what am I here for? That is why the question, you're of the whole series of it. What am I here for? And my direct answer that is, you are here only for one simple purpose, and that is to be happy. Supposing you want to make the world happy, and you succeed in making the whole world happy, what will it do for you? You will be happy. You will be happy by being successful in making the world happy. Why is a generous man a generous man? Because by being generous and helping others, it makes him feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
Why is a miser a miser? A miser is a miser because not being a miser, if forced to give money to help someone, it makes him feel bad. In other words, a miser is happy if he is a miser. A generous man is happy to be generous. Therefore, the miser did not choose to be a miser. The generous man didn't choose to be a generous man.
They just are.
The saint did not choose to be a saint. The psychopath didn't choose to be a psychopath. Therefore, the generous man and the miser, the saint and the psychopath, are a typical example of the basic duality of the manifestation and its functioning that we call life.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, my most important concept is that the human being fundamentally can only be a three-dimensional object. And the three-dimensional object cannot do anything, let alone thinking whether what he is doing is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
See? Therefore, my fundamental basic concept is that every human being is a three-dimensional object through which the source or God or impersonal consciousness or pure energy functions and brings about whatever is supposed to happen according to God's will or a cosmic law.
In relation to that, like there's the functional working mind that you talk about, which is the helps us function on a daily, worldly, simple level.
Yeah. You are talking of the mind, without which the human being would not be able to live his daily life.
That's right. And then there's the thinking mind, which is the culprit.
Quite right. I'm surprised that you thought of this working mind and thinking mind. You must have
I read your book. So
that, in fact, that is one of my concepts, which you won't find elsewhere. I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. So in relation to that, when you're dealing with other individuals, then you can use your working mind to decide whether an individual is trustworthy or anything like that. So you use your discernment, which is your working mind.
Indeed, that is.
And then once you've made a choice, then you can, I guess, you can be trusting, right? Because everything else is...
I'll tell you what. I'll bring you to one sentence which will tell you the whole story.
Okay.
And that is, what is the human being seeking? Happiness.
Yes.
And therefore I say, whatever people may call enlightenment, for me, enlightenment means being happy. I may shock millions of people, but that is my honest opinion. When people are trying to get enlightenment, my point is what they are really trying to get is happiness for themselves. Why? Because happiness is the very nature of the human being. Happiness is the nature of the human being. That is why the moment a newborn baby seeks his mother's breast intuitively, what the human being is seeking is happiness for himself.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the intellect takes him away by giving him wrong impression about what is happiness. Basically, the human being wants happiness. For the newborn baby, mother's milk is happiness.
So how can you Like you're saying, there's the non-doing, and there's the when you create space as opposed to having the thinking mind mechanism going.
Now wait a minute, you're telling me I create space?
Well, I don't know. What do? You were saying
So
in your book how the thinking mind causes the problems.
Therefore,
yeah.
Chiamara, do you have a limited time in which you do your job?
Today or when?
No, so otherwise, what I'm saying is, let us go step by step.
Okay.
So that we don't get confused.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
So step by step. My basic thing is, the whole, whatever these philosophers may say, as far as I'm concerned, the meaning and purpose of life is for every human being to be happy. Why? Because happiness is our very nature.
Yes. Happiness
is our very nature. So, what happened thereafter? The only question is, what truly is the happiness I'm seeking? What truly is the happiness which is my real nature? That is the question. So now, the baby grows into a child, or the school-going child. Chiamara, what is happiness? Happiness means parents' love at home, success in the classroom, success on the playing field. That is happiness. The schoolboy is not concerned with anything else. The schoolboy grows into an adult and he is enticed by the various pleasures in life. Therefore, every adult pursues various pleasures in life with the mistaken notion that he is pursuing happiness. Mm-hmm. Most of the people do not get the pleasures they want. They live a frustrated life. They die a frustrated life. On what basis? On the basis of the cosmic law. Nothing can happen unless we say, the Bible says, thy will be done. Nothing can happen unless it is the will of God. I have accepted, but for those who are not concerned with God, I would say, nothing can happen, or nothing really has happened, unless it is according to a cosmic law. The basis of which the human brain is incapable of knowing anything, because the cosmic law concerns the entire universe for all time, something so vast and complex, human brain cannot understand. Therefore, my basic concept is, whatever happens, whatever has been happening in the world at any time, whatever is happening now, whatever is going to happen in future, is precisely according to the cosmic law.
So the impulse in an individual to do anything, is that therefore a cosmic impulse? It's like a...
Therefore, that impulse can only arise on the basis of what is infused in that human body, mind, organism. Therefore, different human body, mind, organism, different infusions have been infused by the Creator, and therefore, in a given situation, different impulses arise in different body, mind, organism. The impulse is not always the same.
So where does discipline come into that?
Now, therefore I said, let's proceed step by step.
Okay.
We came to a stage where I said, the adult is unhappy, he lives a frustrated life, he dies a frustrated life because he pursues pleasure with the mistaken notion that he is pursuing happiness. That is according to the... Why should that be so? my answer according to the cosmic law, the basis of which my brain is incapable of knowing. But among those who have been pursuing pleasure, a select few, who does the selection? According to the cosmic law. Certain few people like us, who the world calls spiritual seekers. A few of us want enlightenment. Why do we want enlightenment? Because we expect enlightenment to make us happy. See? So therefore, when we seek enlightenment, my point is, whether you realize it or not, when anybody seeks enlightenment, what he is really seeking is happiness for himself, not for the world. See what I mean?
Yes.
Therefore, the most important conclusion I come to, which will be totally different from the conclusion we'll come to from the others, is that pursuing enlightenment is really pursuing happiness for yourself. Why? Because happiness is our very nature. So some of us who realize, I'm seeking happiness. And who am I? By the grace of God, I am someone who is reasonably comfortable in life, over which I have no control, for which I can only be grateful to the Creator, and who has the common sense to know that the very basis of life is uncertainty. The very basis of life is every human being from the beginning of time has had the total free will to do whatever he or she feels like doing in a given situation. From the beginning of time. That is a fact, basic fact number one. Every human being has the total free will to do whatever he wants at any given time. So, and yet, nobody knows whether what he has done will bring him pleasure or pain. Two basic facts of life. Every human being has had the total free will to do whatever he or she wants in any given situation. Basic fact number two, no one has ever had any control over the result and consequence of his action.
So
the basic conclusion from these two basic facts of life is that the human being certainly does have free will, because without free will, the mechanism of daily living would not have happened. What is the basis of the mechanism of daily living? Every human being, at every place, at every time, has just done whatever he or she has felt like doing, and daily living has started. Therefore, for the mechanism of daily living to happen, God was forced to give the human being total free will to do whatever he wanted in any given situation. But basic fact number two, no one has had any control over the result and consequence of his action, which is what leads to pleasure in the moment or pain in the moment. Therefore, these two basic facts lead to only one conclusion, and that is the human being does have total free will, but is worthless in practice.
And it's pretty, given what you've said, the choices people make with their free will is really based on their conditioning in terms of what they think is right and wrong and good and bad. And
quite right. Therefore, Yamara, I asked myself, this is a fact. So I asked myself, what is the basis on which I make a decision of what to do? And the conclusion I came to was that at any time the decision I make depends only on two factors, not 200 factors, not even a third, two factors, my genes and my up-to-date conditioning. I had no control over being born to particular parents, therefore I had no control over the genes in this human object, and more research brings out how powerful this factor of genes is. You must have read in the paper. More and more research is going into this genes. And they're coming to some very strange conclusions.
And then the conditioning, which you can impact because you can change your conditioning.
I haven't come to the conditioning yet. I'm still with genes.
Okay.
The other factor is conditioning. So what I'm saying is, recently in the last 6 months, I read about the results of responsible research, not any, see, people call it research, but you know what they do? They do research in order to justify their conclusion. That is not research. But even responsible research has come to the conclusion that whether I am a generous person or not depends on my genes. Whether I am a despot in life, doing whatever I want to do, pressurizing others to do what I want to do, or whether I am a victim of such a person, depends on my genes.
How does that follow if you have distinctly different generations? You know, like you have maybe parents who are very generous and children who are very selfish.
So whatever it is, my parents, grandparents, maybe 10 generations back. So what your genes are based on, no one can know. All the research has said is, whether I am generous or not depends on my genes.
So does that mean that you can't...
And whether I am a powerful, forceful character or take back, whether I am a brave or timid, depends on the genes. And do you know the most astonishing thing I read? Whether I am faithful to my wife or not depends on my genes. Responsible research. Therefore, genes is such a powerful factor. Almost anything I do or think can be traced to some gene. Research which has already been done. God knows what further research is going to bring out.
So are you suggesting in that case that you can't rehabilitate someone or grow and change?
So, therefore, the other factor is conditioning. Just as I had no control over being born to particular parents and therefore no control over my genes, which is such a powerful factor, similarly I had no control over being born to particular parents in a particular geographical environment, in a particular social environment, upper class, upper middle class, low or low class, in which environment this body, mind, object has received its conditioning from day one. Conditioning at home, the way my parents and other relatives behave, conditioning in the relevant society, how people in that society behave, conditioning in a school and college in that relevant society, conditioning in church or temple. A bombardment of conditioning from day one. This is good, that is bad. You must do this, you must not do that. This is socially acceptable, that is socially not acceptable. This is a sin and God will punish you. See what I mean? Therefore my point is, whatever I do at any moment, consciously as my decision, is subconsciously depends entirely on these two factors, my genes and my up-to-date condition. Genes more or less stable, so far anyway. Conditioning keeps on changing all the time.
And you can choose how you change your conditioning by what you expose yourself
anything
to.
That you read or hear or experience can change your existing condition. What is happening now, let me be clear, is fresh conditioning. I am conveying to you my concept, which can amend or alter your existing conditioning or even transform it.
So in terms of conditioning, and so obviously that's one thing we can use our free will to impact.
Indeed.
And am I right in understanding that even though we may choose to condition ourselves in a particular way, or I mean even schools may condition children in particular ways, or parents condition children, or I mean it's everywhere.
You are free to improve yourself any way you want.
That's right. And it is not equal to happiness. It's about pleasure.
Well, we are
maybe,
not.
or maybe
now,
not.
wait a minute. Now we are talking about daily living.
Right. Yes.
Now we are talking about the mechanism of daily living. Mechanism of daily living means I do whatever I feel like doing at any moment, but on analysis I find that whatever I've been doing is based on two factors, my genes and my up-to-date condition. Over neither of which have I had any control.
Well, you can have some control over your up-to-date conditioning, surely, because you can choose what input you want to be around.
No, that you're talking about improvement, self-improvement. So about self-improvement.
Well, it might be the other way.
Again, at any moment, I'm free to improve myself physically, mentally, temperamentally, spiritually, financially, any way I want. I have the total free will. But the point is, having done whatever I feel I should do, the result has never ever been in my control. Which is what the human being forgets.
Yes. Although we can have an impact on
and the result,
yes,
success or partial success or failure, has an impact on what we do. Therefore you are free to improve yourself. But to what extent you can improve yourself is not in your control. Therefore, whatever one has done at any moment, as one's own free will, turns out on inspection to be something which one has been forced to do by his or her genes and up-to-date conditioning. Therefore, the conclusion I come to, which is the basis of my happiness, the basic conclusion I come to is, in order to live my daily life, I am forced to do whatever I want, and I do it. But having done it, where does my happiness lie? I repeat, in any given situation like anybody else, I do precisely what I feel like doing, knowing that it is really not my doing. Because what I have been doing is based on two factors, my genes and my conditioning, which God has infused in this body, mind, organism. See? Therefore, any action which I know I have done and which the society considers my action is based on two factors, over neither of which have I had any control. Who has control over this? God, the Creator has. He has infused these two conditions, my genes and my up-to-date conditioning, because of which I have just done something. With that thing, with that total acceptance, whatever I have been doing all my life is based on two factors which God infused in this body-mind organism. The mind-boggling conclusion I came to, Kiamara, is in daily living I cannot make a mistake. Because whatever I have done is precisely what God expected me to do. Whatever I have done is based on two factors which God infused in this body-mind organism. Therefore, when the society considers it a mistake and punishes me, and that punishment means pain in the moment, I know that it is not a mistake. That is precisely what I was supposed to do. Much, much, much more important, Kiamara. I know that I cannot commit a sin. Whatever has happened through this body-mind organ, which the society considers my action, God does not consider it a sin. Because whatever I have been doing is precisely what God expected me to do. More accurately, whatever I have been doing is precisely what God has been doing through this three-dimensional object which the society has been considering as my action.
So that brings me back to my original question.
Go ahead now, yes.
Yes. So, which was, can an individual serve that impulse, serve God in a sense?
That
you'll say
impulse,
the impulse to do anything is caused by...
sent by God.
That's right.
Yeah.
So even if you were impulsed to serve that, it's not from yourself.
Therefore, I cannot commit a sin. Whatever the society may do to me, the psychopath and the criminal cannot commit a sin irrespective of whatever the society may do to them.
Because that's a judgment of society, not
in our control. Therefore, if the society's judgment brings me pleasure, I enjoy it. If the society's judgment brings me pain, I suffer it. I have no choice. But I don't take any pride. If there is pleasure, I don't condemn myself as having done something wrong. If there is pain, pleasure or pain according to the cosmic law which I have to enjoy or... But I commit no sin. I don't have to worry about God punishing me.
So, in your perception, where does the world of self-improvement sit?
Where is it? I told you. Every human being is free to improve herself at a physically, mentally, spiritually, temperamentally or financially, any way she wants. She can take any course, positive thinking or whatever. Nobody stops her. If she has the money to take the course, she take the course. But having taken the course, what success she will achieve has never ever been in her control.
Except when I spoke to you last time, You did say that you can increase the percentage of a certain outcome. You can't guarantee but you can increase the percentage. We spoke about that.
No, how much percentage, whether there will be improvement or not, is not in your control anyway. Whether there will be improvement or not in your control. How much percentage of improvement or no improvement at all, again is not in your control.
So, from an energy point of view though, we're all energy bodies, as it were, and so can we not choose to use our mind?
You can choose anything you want.
Yes, and have an impact.
I'm sorry?
And have an impact. So
yeah, but the only thing you don't know is the result and consequence of that impact. That is the whole point. Therefore, my whole basic concept is the human being is fundamentally a three-dimensional object.
So, for example, did you hear about when they said that there were a group of Buddhist monks and they all meditated in New York?
Yeah.
And the crime rate went down. Did you hear that story?
I'm sorry?
The crime rate reduced. At the time when the Buddhist monks all meditated together.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed, it did happen.
So therefore, they're choosing.
Wait a minute. Therefore, what was described, Kiyamara,
yes,
is the description of the mechanism of what happened. The mechanism of what happened. Another group of Buddhists comes and does that, the improvement may not be the same. What was described as the mechanism of what happened. So now what happens is, my basic concept is, I repeat, my basic concept is, every human being is a machine. The basis of which is genes and up-to-date conditions. Through that machine, through which the source function or the primal energy as the source function and brings about whatever is supposed to happen according to a cosmic law, the basis of which the human brain is incapable of ever understanding. Therefore, we can only accept whatever happens as something which was precisely supposed to happen, precisely the way it has.
So your understanding how that serves happiness in people.
So happiness, therefore, the happiness that I have is the same as what I call enlightenment, which is the total acceptance of my concept that everything in the world is happening according to the cosmic law. How each happening affects whom for better or worse. A happening happens. It may hurt me and help you or hurt you and help him, is again according to the cosmic law. So through which body, mind, organ, through which person the happening happens, which the society calls my action, your action or his action, is again according to the cosmic law. The human being is incapable of doing anything. Total acceptance of that concept means enlightenment. That is my concept of enlightenment.
Yeah.
In other words, what I am telling you, which is the most important thing I can tell you, is that enlightenment or self-realization or being one with God is not a certified event. enlightenment or self-realization or whatever you call is not a certified event. And unfortunately people don't realize it. According to me, enlightenment is a personal concept. And I consider I am enlightened because I am happy. I am enlightened because I've got the happiness I am seeking. And the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with the pleasure in life. Therefore, the quest for happiness. For the baby, mother's milk is happiness. For the child, success in the classroom, success in the playing field, love from the parents. For the grown-up man, happiness means the total acceptance that he is incapable of doing anything, he is incapable of hurting anyone, no one is capable of hurting me, and the total acceptance of this means happiness. And what is the basis of happiness? According to my concept, the basis of unhappiness is hatred. Hating myself, condemning and hating myself for my actions, condemning and hating others for their actions, is the suffering which prevents the human being from being happy. Therefore, for me, my concept, what is enlightenment? Enlightenment is happiness, which is my true nature. That is why I am seeking enlightenment. And the happiness I am seeking I have got because I have been able to accept totally. I don't have to fear the other hurting me, not in his control. I am not incapable of hurting anyone.
So that means that really in that state you can live in a place of complete trust, because like we're always protecting ourselves from being hurt or whatever,
yes,
bad stuff,
yes,
what we perceive as bad.
But don't forget, the very mechanism of daily living is based on my doing in any situation whatever I think I should do. Accepting that I am not the doer does not take away my birthright of total free will to do whatever I want in any situation. But the important point we forget is that the result has never been in my control. See?
Yep.
Therefore, if I ask, you could ask that to others whom you interview. And if you are talking about enlightenment, what is the one factor which blocks enlightenment? What is the one factor which blocks enlightenment? According to my concept, the one factor which blocks enlightenment is my conviction that I am in control of my life. I am in control of my life. I am responsible for what I do. And therefore, I bear an enormous burden of condemnation, hatred for myself, for my actions, and a much bigger load of condemnation and hatred for others for their actions. And it is this load, based on the total conviction that every human being is responsible for his actions. Once that is removed, once the total conviction that I am the is removed, then no more hating myself for my actions, no more hating others for their actions. And the absence of hatred is the basis of the happiness which I have got, which is my very nature.
So that's something that you have come to yourself.
But this conclusion.
Yes.
Yes, that is a conclusion I have come to myself.
When did you start seeking yourself?
That's a good idea. That's a good question. You know the answer. Answer is Kiyamara. I pursued enlightenment for 40 years and ended up in total frustration. Because all I wanted was answers to my two basic valid questions. What precisely am I seeking? What is enlightenment? I'm supposed to get enlightenment. I was introduced to a guru. The guru gave me initiation, did something, and said, now I'm your guru, you are my disciple. So, my first question, what precisely is this enlightenment I'm supposed to see as the most important thing in life? Nobody could tell me. And then when I found out, now I know the answer. Why nobody can tell you what is enlightenment? Why can no one tell you what is enlightenment? Because enlightenment is not a certified event. God has not certified any event as enlightenment. Therefore, what is enlightenment? No one can give you an answer. Therefore, my answer is enlightenment is my concept. And according to my concept, you are enlightened if you are happy. If you have got the happiness you are seeking, you are enlightened. You see what I mean? My second question was, I am supposed to seek enlightenment. What will enlightenment do for me in case I do get enlightenment? What happiness will I get after that I didn't have before? No one could get me there. So I once asked this question to my guru. My first guru, I asked him this question. And do you know, he got angry that I dared to ask this question. Because he thought by asking that question, I was doubting his being enlightened. He got angry. Then he realized that he looked around and I dared to ask that question because there were very few people, only 5 or 6 people, maybe 7 or 8. So he got angry. But when he looked around, for everyone waiting for the answer, everyone waiting for the answer. What will enlightenment do for me? So he calmed down and gave me an answer. Do you know what the answer was? You can only know when you are enlightened. You can only know when you are enlightened. Now I said, no, wrong. I can tell you what enlightenment will do for you. One, enlightenment will not give you any kind of bliss. Because according to me, bliss would still be an intense pleasure in life. Therefore, all I can tell you is the happiness which is our real nature is based not on anything positive, but happiness means the end of the suffering. And curiously, I came to know later, this is what the Buddha said. Enlightenment means the end of suffering. And what is the suffering? The load of hatred for myself and hatred for the other. That is the suffering which ends. That is all.
Yeah. So
now,
yeah.
Any question that you have?
So one of the things that you say is that a lot of our unhappiness is, our unhappiness is derived, I mean, you just said from hatred, but also from the thinking mind, and it's like a sense of separation, and that we're always looking to protect ourselves.
You brought in a very important word, separation. A very important word called separation. What is your understanding about separation? What most masters have told you, and you interview other people, they will confirm it. Enlightenment means the end of separation. Isn't that right? Enlightenment means the end of separation. Enlightenment means the end of the ego. And that is something, Kiyamara, I simply could not accept for one reason. The greatest of the sages, Ramana Maharshi, for instance, even after the ultimate experience, still continued to live his life in the ashram for 50 years as the same separate entity. Therefore, how can you say that the basis of enlightenment is end of separation?
What do you mean as the same separate entity?
He still lived as a separate entity. If I had called him by name, Ramana or Bhagavan or whatever, would he not have turned and responded to my call? So if Ramana had responded to my calling him by name, is it not separation?
I don't know, I guess that depends. I would imagine that there's a function, maybe a functionality that continues, but...
I call Ramana by name and he responds. And the basis of that response is that he is the one whose name I call as a separate entity. Otherwise he would not have responded.
Yep.
Therefore, I simply could not accept that separation, end of separation, end of the ego, is the basis of enlightenment. I just could not accept it. Therefore, now I have come to the conclusion. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment means the total acceptance that I am not the doer of my action, the other is not the doer of his action. Every action is a happening brought about by the source according to a cosmic law. That is not. Therefore what I am saying, even the sage continues to live his life as a separate entity, as the same ego. Therefore my question about enlightenment is, if the sage continues to live as the same ego, and the ordinary person lives his life as an ego, a separate entity, what is the difference? See? That difference is what I call enlightenment. And the enlightenment means, according to my concept, in the ego of the sage, the sense of personal doership has been totally uprooted. So that Ramana Maharshi himself describes this fact by saying the ego of the sage is like the remnants of a burnt rope. The ego of the sage is like the remnants of a burnt rope. So when you hear that, what is the most important significance you attach to this statement? I will repeat, Ramana Maharshi. The ego of the sage is like the remnants of a burnt rope. What do you think is the significance for you of that statement?
The remnants of a burnt robe.
Remnants of a burnt robe. That is what has significance for you, isn't it? Remnants of a burnt robe is what you have significance to. I give significance to the ego of the sage. Therefore, when Ramana Maharshi describes the ego of the sage, whatever the description, that can vary. The important fact is, a sage like Ramana Maharshi admits that even the sage has an ego.
Yeah.
Therefore, to say that enlightenment means the end of separation is stupid nonsense. Someone says it and the others have kept parroting it. So in my case, as I told you, because my two questions have not been answered, I pursued enlightenment for 40 years, ended up in total frustration. So when I retired from work, I decided once and for all, no more enlightenment for me. I don't care a damn what enlightenment is. So for the rest of my life, I will be a very selfish person and pursue happiness for myself. See what I mean? I'm not concerned with anything. I'm not concerned with making the world a better place. I'm not concerned with raising the poverty level. I'm not concerned. I'm only concerned with my happiness for the rest of the remaining life, which may not be much, turned out to be a lot. Therefore, I pursued happiness and I got the happiness. And what is more, the bonus was that the happiness that I got turned out to be precisely the enlightenment I was supposed to see. And the basis of this search, as I told you, the most important conclusion you have to come to is that I am a reasonably comfortable person. I know what pleasure is. Even if I were able to enjoy all the pleasures in all that with all this intensity, I would still be seeking happiness. So what is happiness I am seeking? And the most important conclusion I came to in my personal search for happiness, not enlightenment, is the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with the pleasures in life. Because I know what pleasure is. Therefore, the happiness I am seeking has nothing to do with the flow of life. Flow of life can only mean pleasure or pain. Therefore, the happiness I am seeking depends entirely on my attitude to life. And my attitude to life really means, that took a long time, not a misery. My attitude to life is too general. What do I mean? And I came to the conclusion. When I say attitude to life, what I really mean is my attitude towards the other. From morning till night, what is daily living? Interhuman relationships. The other may be my parent or wife or son or a close relative or a neighbor or someone connected with my business or occupation, or a neighbor, or someone totally stranger. Who the other is going to be, at what moment in my daily living, has never been in anyone's control. Therefore my question was, what has been my attitude towards the other so far, which has not brought me the happiness, but unhappiness? And the answer to that was, an honest answer, was very clear. My attitude towards the other has always been one of fear and rivalry. Fear that he may hurt me, fear that he may take something away from me, fear that he may prevent me from getting what I want, because he is also concerned with the same thing. And that is why I am not happy. Therefore the conclusion I came to is, the happiness I am seeking depends entirely on a harmonious attitude towards the other. I have not been happy so far because my attitude to the other was not harmonious. It was based on fear and rivalry. So the only way I could have a harmonious relationship with the other is if I am able to accept totally. I don't have to fear him.
So what led you to that acceptance?
God's will, my destiny, happening. So I came to the conclusion, the other is incapable of harm. He is incapable of harming me. I am incapable of harming anyone. Therefore there is no question of carrying any load of hatred for me for my action, or a load of hatred for others. And the disappearance of that suffering, I said, is precisely what enlightenment or my happiness is.
So the hurt that a person experiences is simply due to an interpretation of events.
I'm sorry, say?
So you were saying you reached a point where you realized no one can hurt you and you can't hurt anyone. So when people experience hurt, it's simply a lack of acceptance of whatever is.
So the question, therefore, now, frankly, the question, basically you come down to being hurt, mentally or physically. Previously, if I were hurt, Kiyamar, what was my reaction? Very simple. He hurt me, I hate him. Now if I am hurt, what is my reaction? Equally simple, but totally different. What has hurt me is a happening which has hurt me because it was my destiny to be hurt, according to the cosmic law. If it were not my destiny to be hurt, according to the cosmic law, no power on earth can hurt me. Today if I am hurt, I can understand. A happening has hurt me. A happening which hurt me has happened through A. Whether it had happened to B, C, D, X, Y, Z, my hurt would still be the same. Therefore the change in attitude has been that who has hurt me has now become irrelevant, redundant. The question of who has hurt me simply does not arise. A happening has hurt me, because according to the cosmic law in my destiny, that happening was supposed to hurt me. See what I mean? You have no question. I'll give you one.
Okay.
And the question is based on the principle that Kiyamara, even a damn fool will accept a concept which frees him from hatred. Hatred for himself, hatred for the other. Even a damn fool will accept it. But the catch is that the concept cannot work until the acceptance is total and not merely intellectual.
Yes.
See what I mean? Therefore, what is Kiyamara's question?
The question is, what can an individual do to make that a total acceptance, not just an intellectual acceptance?
Quite right. In other words, your question is, what can I do to have the total acceptance that I am not the doer? Right? I repeat, what can I do to make my acceptance total that I am not the doer? Kiyamara. If Kiyamara is not the doer, what the hell can she do? Nothing. See what I mean? That is the core of the thing. That's the crux of the matter.
There's got to be something.
And that is something which not you can do, but that's something which can only happen if it is supposed to happen. According to Kiyamara's destiny, God's will, cosmic law. That is the crux of the matter. Therefore I said, the one thing which blocks enlightenment from happening is the conviction that I am in charge of my life.
What about the, you know how, I don't know the exact words, but Buddha basically says that you become whatever you meditate upon. Whatever you bring your attention to is what you become. Which is a little like, I don't know, what do you
I'm sorry,
say
I
about
didn't
that?
quite get that.
Well, I've read a quote from Buddha, from the Buddha, that says whatever you attend to or whatever you meditate upon, you become.
Whatever you totally believe, you become. That's what Buddha clearly says. Whatever you totally believe, and that is the whole point. How can Kiyamara have the total acceptance that she is not the doer of her deed?
Yes.
And how to prove it? Kiyamara is willing to take any lie detector test. So sure she is that she is not the doer. The only question is, it can only happen if it is supposed to happen. According to your destiny, God's will, cosmic law.
Is there anything that I can do to...
Therefore, that again a valid question, Kiyamara. While I am waiting for something to happen, while I am waiting for God to make up His mind, is there not something I can do with the total acceptance that that is not going to help one way or the other, but to pass time? Something I can do as a spiritual practice to console my conscience? Valid question. And for that I do have a suggestion which I call personal investigation. Personal investigation of a specific action which you are sure is your action. If you have the time during the day, you can do it any time. But if you don't have the time during the day, then at the end of the day, take 10 minutes off, sit quietly, but again, believing you are not the doer, no reason to be uncomfortable and do with a yogic pose with the back straight or anything like that. For my purpose, because your personal investigation you are doing, take the most comfortable seat, and in order to be comfortable, if you would like your cup of coffee or a glass of beer or sherry, have it. This is not a discipline. And then do some very simple, what I call personal investigation. If you go through the various events of the day, it will be quite clear. Most of the events just happen. You had no control over them. So from those events, choose only one event, one action, which Kiyamara is sure is her action. In other words, Kiyamara says, other actions I honestly don't know. But this one is my action. And I challenge anybody to prove to me that it is not my action. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then investigate that action. Again, very, very simple. If I consider this action as my action, did I decide to do that action at a particular time? See what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I consider this as my action, did I decide to do that action at a particular time? And you remember, no, I didn't. Then the investigation is, how did the action happen? And you remember, you had a thought. And that thought led to your action. If that thought had not happened, your action would not have happened. Mm. And you had no control over the happening of that thought. Why? Because no human being ever had any control over what the next thought is going to be. So if I had no control over that thought, and that thought led to the action, how can I call it my action? You have done the investigation yourself and come to the conclusion that the one action you are so sure is your action turns out on your own investigation not to be your action. Your acceptance must go considerably deeper. Your intellectual understanding must go much deeper. Then you take another action and another. And I assure you, however many actions you investigate, every single time, without exception, 100% result, you will keep on coming to the conclusion, not my action, not my action. If I had not happened to be at a certain place and time and seen something, my action would not have happened. And I had no control over being at that time, at that place. And much more important, for something to happen, which I happen to see, or hear, or smell, or taste, or touch. And every time after your own investigation, you come to the conclusion, not my action, not my action. Then at a certain moment of time, each time your action goes deeper and deeper and deeper, until at a particular moment of time, depending on your destiny, God's cosmic law, a divine flash of total acceptance is likely to happen. I simply cannot be the doer. And once the divine flash happens, there will be no more doubt.
So for you in your own process, you said that you became disillusioned with your search for enlightenment. Did you then practice the inquiry that you're talking about?
No, I didn't, personally.
You didn't, no.
Personally, I didn't. You see, the whole point is, for this divine flash of acceptance to happen, you do not necessarily have to go through the process of investigation.
Right. So what was your process?
It just happened.
Right.
It just happened on a particular occasion. That occasion was Kiyamara.
That what?
That particular occasion was. Yeah. Normally, there were occasions when I used to translate Maharaj's talk. Mm-hmm. And since I had quite a lot to do during my career with foreigners, and I had a certain command over the English language, the people who came there appreciated my translation. Maharaj knew about it. So he would often ask me to do the translation. And the process, and in this translation there was a process in time. First I had to listen carefully to what Maharaj said. Then understand it, understand the significance of it. Then translate it into English, and then vocalize it into words. That was a process. It may have taken only a few seconds, very, very little time, but still it was a process. But on a particular occasion, I suddenly realized I could hardly wait for the old man to stop. I knew exactly what he was going to say. The moment he stopped, the translation poured out. There was clearly no process of translation. And at the end of the morning, someone, he said, Ramesh, you were informed today. So I said, how do you mean? He said, today when you were translating, you could hardly wait for Maharaj to stop what he said. When you said you were making gestures which you were not making before, it was as if you were the one who was doing the translation, not translation, but it seemed as if you were doing the speaking and not Maharaj. You were informed. But I knew what had happened. That there was no translation. Everything was happening. And what is more, Maharaj himself noted that something had happened. And he acknowledged it to me.
So what you did do, in a sense, is you spent time in the company of your guru. Was he your guru? You spent time in the company of someone with a realization. And you also, like you were...
No, my point I'm making is, I already had the conviction that I'm not the doer. But this just happened to be a proof of what happened, which I didn't need. That's what I'm telling you. A proof which I didn't need, but it happened.
Yes.
And that is the flash I'm referring to.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So,
thank you.
I don't have any more questions for you. You'll have to manufacture them yourself.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll ask you some more a bit later, but maybe,
Gabriel.
Yes.
Gabriel wants to ask something.
So, do you want to come in the afternoon or tomorrow morning? Whatever you like.
Today is the best to do it today.
Okay.
Yep, great.
Ramesh, I was on the plane the other day. You know, I have a bit of a problem on the plane. You know when the plane starts bumping?
Yes. You have the fear.
Yeah, and it's okay until it starts to bump. You know when it starts to shake, I feel like I've got no bottom. It's like
in other words, you are afraid of dying.
In a plane crash, yes.
What are you afraid of? The plane may crash and Gabriel may be dead.
It's the way of dying that it's like the heights. I have a fear of heights. It's also the way of dying. So for example, if I was going to die with an overdose of pills, that's much less frightening. That wouldn't keep me so involved as when the plane bumps. It's very frightening.
So about that, I'm sure there must be some medicine.
Yeah, I take a Xanax. But... And
it helps?
A little bit.
Okay.
I know, but that's not my question. My main question is, when it bumps, I start to think, how do I actually get out of this? What thought do I think in that moment? What is the most comforting thought? And that creates the involvement, this incessant...
Oh, you want the most comforting thought?
Well, no, is there such a thing? Or is that just more involvement? That's my question, because I'm always looking for the most comforting thought. What is the most comforting thought to stop this panic in this moment, what thought can I think that reduces it? Is that thought itself the panic?
Yes, if you could stop that thought, that's the best thing.
Okay.
I mean, why think about it?
I can't help it. It's because there's a panic. I've got to get out of this.
If the panic arises, that panic, Gabriel, the most important point to remember, that panic is not what Gabriel creates. That panic is not what Gabriel creates. It is a biological reaction over which no ego has any control. The comforting thought would be that even if a sage were in your place with that kind of genes and conditioning, if the same thing would happen even to that bloody sage.
Okay.
It's not happening to Gabriel. It is happening in a body-mind organism. Because the genes are such that those genes produce that kind of panic.
Well, actually, it was after an event in a plane coming from the Dominican Republic, when we all thought we were going to die, and the plane dropped very fast. And after that, I've had much more fear on a plane. Just one incident. And
that is precisely what I mean by conditioning.
Yes.
That is precisely what I mean by conditioning.
And so
but that happened 200 people.
Yes.
But the reaction on them for 200 was not the same. It happened more for you.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
and it was terrifying when it dropped. That moment of terror, it was unbearable. I didn't even know it existed, such a terror. When that dropped, you know, we thought we were hit by lightning, and it dropped like a roller coaster, just shooting down.
So must happen to 200 people.
Yes.
The others must have also felt that.
Yeah, they would.
But next moment they forgot. But you couldn't.
I couldn't. No, so after, and that was like 15 years ago. So I always had this problem on a plane. The only thing that I'm asking about, most importantly, is the reason I'm thinking about dealing with the panic by using a certain thought is because I believe if I find the right thought, the panic will subside. Is that true or not?
Yes, the thought is, it is not Gabriel who is going into a panic.
Okay.
Gabriel has no control over the happening of that panic.
Yes.
If Ramesh had been there with those genes, Ramesh would also be in the same spot.
Oh, I see.
It is not Gabriel, it's happening to a particular body-mind organism because of a particular kind of genes.
So
not happening to you at all. It is happening to a body-mind organism which happens to be yours.
Okay.
If you remember that.
And if I can't remember that, what I'm saying is I'll try and remember that. Next time I'm on the plane, I'll think, right, what is going to calm me down? As it starts to bump, I'll think, what is going to calm me down? Oh, remember what Ramesh said. Think about that. Let's see if that works. So I'll use that as a method to calm me down.
Sure.
But it might not work. So then I've got to go to another thought. Oh, do I think of God or the Divine Mother?
So, instead of Divine Mother, stick to say Ramesh. Even Ramesh also would have had the same thing.
Okay. And then another thought is, if this, like I go through the process, if the plane was to, God forbid, come down, I go through the thinking of it because I can't handle it. Yeah. So I think about it to try and actually deal. I know it's a crazy thought, to try and deal with the fear. Like, I think if I could accept the fear of that.
Look, on this, the point is, there are two things. One is the fact of death. The other is the manner of death. The process of death.
Yes.
Two separate things. For a certain death, some may be able to accept death, all right, that's going to happen, I've accepted it. And in fact, the important thing, even in this case, is to remember that basically, what you are describing, basically what the fear is, the fear of the phenomenon of death.
Yes. Oh.
Basically, so are you absolutely 100% convinced that death means release from life? That you don't have to worry about death? That is the most important.
So you're saying if I didn't have the fear of death, I also wouldn't have the fear of the manner of dying?
That's right.
That's very interesting, because a lot of people say to me, oh, I don't mind dying, but I mind the manner in which I die.
So when they say, I don't mind dying, they are telling a lie.
Ah, this is interesting. So this is very interesting. You're saying once you've accepted that death is not a problem.
On the contrary, once you accept that death is something to look forward to.
Oh, once you accept death is something to
that
look forward
is
to.
my point. Death is something to look forward to.
Okay. And once that's accepted, the manner becomes irrelevant. Whether you're crucified, tortured, in a plane crash, hung, drowned, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. And that is why Ramana Maharshi describes it as death is like a laborer who has been laboring all day with a heavy load on his shoulders, and at the end of the day he is able to drop his load.
Yes.
That is anyone at the end of the he should be happy to drop his load of living. For most people it is the load of hatred, but it is still the load of everyday living.
That's very interesting. You said so. I mean, I didn't know that because you.
What's
the fear of death?
One very, very simple, Gabriel, very simple. The most important thing that anybody wants during the day is to be able to sleep.
Yes.
I'm told, the police, I'm told they don't want anything to be seen on the body if they torture them. So do you know how they torture him? They just won't let him sleep. They keep talking to him and all. So ultimately when he is about to sleep, he confesses. Because he can't have the ultimate happiness he seeks. The ultimate happiness being to go to sleep. So that the end of, and that is, sleep is only temporary, whereas death is permanent sleep. Death is permanent sleep. So no one need. And the point I'm making is, no one need fear death, whether he is a saint or a psychopath. Whether a psychopath, once he is dead, the body is dead, or the saint, the body is dead, both the egos, which are identified consciousness, again become impersonal consciousness. There is no individual at all. Once two rivers join the ocean, it doesn't matter whether one river was the purest river and the other was the dirtiest river. Therefore, I keep on saying the happiness we are seeking, enlightenment or whatever we call it, only for this life.
Yes. Very, very interesting what you said there. Once the fear of death is gone, the manner you're actually guaranteeing, or you're saying the manner in which you die will automatically go.
Yes.
Because you must have heard many people tell you, I don't fear death, I fear the manner in which I die. And you're saying that's...
No, most of them haven't really thought about it.
Ah, okay. So as soon as they stop fearing death, however they die would also simultaneously become irrelevant.
Somebody says, I don't fear death, I'm going to bring a gun and put it in.
Yes, yes. That's very interesting. Okay, and the other thing, Ramesh, yesterday I asked you about, I said if that flash of total acceptance happens that I'm not the doer, I asked you simultaneously, would I get the conviction that everything is predestined? And you said yes, you would. And I just wanted to ask you today, how do you connect those two? Why Why with the total acceptance I'm not the doer would I then get the complete conviction everything's predestined?
Very simple. Who is concerned whether something is predestined or not? Doer.
So that
So what I do, is it predestined or it is not predestined? It is the one with a sense of personal doership who is concerned whether it is predetermined or not. Once you know that you are not the doer,
you're not concerned.
you are no longer concerned with the question whether
Yeah, of course. I'm asking now because if I'm believing now, it's making me feel better. If I believe everything's predestined, it takes the pressure off.
Yes.
And that's why I'm asking now. I mean, it's
because you don't believe that you are not the doer.
yes.
The
And yet,
question arises because you have not accepted that you are not the doer.
yes, that's true. But the predestination would of course take the tension if I had the conviction.
Now the conviction really shouldn't be difficult, Gabriel. If the most well-known physicist as mathematician, because of his calculations, has come to the conclusion, my concept, but for the physicist mathematician, everything is predetermined according to his calculation.
Yes.
So if a top-class medical doctor tells you something about his subject, will you not accept it? So
you can accept it intellectually, like you can accept you're not the doer intellectually, but it's not like it's accepted deep down where it stops the thinking process. And that's why you said you need to investigate. To get the actual conviction deeper, you need to investigate, which is what I'm trying to do. So if the physicist tells me I accept it intellectually, yes, he's most probably correct. But it's not, it doesn't sink in enough
point, yes. So if you accept it, then maybe my concept, but if the most well-known physicist mathematician has come to the conclusion, according to his own calculation, that everything is predetermined, would you not be inclined to accept it?
Yes, as I said up there, I would accept it.
And that's all you can accept?
Yeah, because to get deeper, like you said, you need to investigate.
Anything deeper is your own personal experience.
Yes, that's right. Anything deeper is my own personal.
It's your own personal experience. And how will you get your personal experience? And
My investigation.
As a matter of fact, the personal experience has happened several times, but you don't accept your own personal experience that everything is predetermined. Everybody has experience that everything is predetermined.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mean to be here. I happened to be here. I happened to be in a taxi and the accident happened. And what do you say? I didn't mean to be here. I should have been in my own car. My car broke down. That's why I had to take a taxi. And in this taxi there is an accident. Therefore I didn't mean to be here, but I'm here. Therefore it was predetermined. You didn't decide. Either you decided to be in that taxi or you didn't decide. It was predetermined. You never decided to be at a particular moment.
I never decided to be in a particular movie.
At a particular, whatever, at a particular place doing that means it was predetermined. Either you have determined or you have not determined.
It's
Okay.
fine. Alright, yeah.
Keep something for tomorrow.
Okay, yes, thank you.